Good morning. Welcome everyone to our February 13th work session for the Board of Education. I'd like to call our meeting to order, and our first item on the agenda is to have our, actually it's not an item on the agenda, but at first we would like to have our invocation. I would like to ask, Ronnie Sibley if he would join us at the podium for our invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love and your mercy. Father, for your unconditional grace and unmerited favor that you have given to and extended to each and every one of us. Father, we just recognize these board members. Lord, we know that today is recognition for the board members throughout the states. And Father, we just ask that anyone who has given themselves over to an elected official position in this capacity, that you would give them wisdom, that you would give them knowledge, Father, that you would give them encouragement, Lord, that you would give them hope. And Lord, we just pray for the staff and the teachers and all the faculty members and the students and their parents as well. Lord, help us to come together as one, knowing that the education of the children is our priority, and Lord, that we want to complement each other in the tasks that we have. And Father, we just thank you for this particular board meeting and what they mean, and these members and what they mean to Paulding County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now, we pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, before I adopt our agenda, I would like to tell you, as you probably heard, this week is Board Appreciation Week for the state of Georgia. We have been blessed with a wonderful array of foods, which you guys are welcome to enjoy as well, please. And next, I would like to adopt our agenda. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. All right, approval of our minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from our regular session? Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Fuller. Second by Mr. Clayton. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, 6-1. Next, we have our superintendent's report. I will turn this session over to our esteemed superintendent, Mr. Steve Barnett.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to start out with a recognition for our board. Again, it is School Board Appreciation Week. It's a time that the governor has set aside through a proclamation to honor and celebrate the crucial role that school boards play in molding, in our case, the educational experience here in Paulding County, our 31-some-odd thousand students. So this morning we want to say thank you for your unwavering commitment, your advocacy, your thoughtful policy making, your responsible stewardship, and your support of our dedicated educators and staff. Your efforts contribute immensely to the success and well-being of our entire school community. So thank you. I know it's an often thankless job, so thank you for your contributions to shaping the future for our students and fostering excellence in education here in Paulding County. There are a few others who'd like to say thank you as well. So with that, Michelle's going to pop up a little video.
Thank you, school board members, for your unwavering dedication to our community and to the students of Paulding County. You guys are very much appreciated.
We appreciate you. Thank you, board members. Thank you, board members.
Thank you, board members.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a community member with a vested interest in our schools, I want to express my gratitude to our Paulding County Board of Education for keeping our schools safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, board members. Thank
you, board members.
Thank you.
We are so grateful for our school system and the Board of Education. 33 schools, more than 31,000 students.
And we thank you for your partnership with the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you, board members.
Thank you. Gracias por miembros de la mesa directiva.
On behalf of Paulding County Council PTA, I wanted to let our Board of Education know how much you are appreciated. The work you do makes a difference in the lives of Paulding County students. So thank you for what you do and enjoy School Board Appreciation Week.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you, and also, yeah, thank you to our Jay Dillon, who's our public information officer. I don't see him in the room. Oh, no, there he is in the back there. Thank you for, and your team for putting that together. We, again, we appreciate the board. We don't say it enough, so we definitely want to honor you, you today. Also wanted to mention that 4 of our high schools were recently named Advanced Placement Honor Schools for 2024. That includes East, Hiram, North, and Paulding County High Schools. They all received honors in 1 or more AP categories you see there on the screen. Of course, AP participation is a proven indicator of success at the post-secondary level, and exposure to advanced placement courses helps ensure our students are prepared for success today and tomorrow. So to have a school recognized as an AP honor school is a testament to our administrators, our staff, our teachers, and our collective focus on instruction. So congratulations to those schools. Also want to say congratulations to some students. First, there on the left, congratulations to head coach Wesley Willis and the North Paulding High School girls varsity basketball team as they finished second in the state playoffs this past weekend. They had a wonderful season and battled all the way to the end against a tough opponent on Saturday, but they had an extraordinary season and we're very proud of them and their accomplishments. To the right there at the bottom is Lucas Hayes. He's from South Paulding High School. He was a state runner-up in the 175-pound weight class. And then the top right is a state champion. That is Ryan Seymour, who was state champion in the 150 weight class, again from South Paulding High School. So congratulations to all those students and a job well done. Wanted to mention that Business Services has published their monthly financial update for January. Looks a little bit like this. The update is attached to our meeting agenda. It is available on our website, including a statement of revenues, expenditures, and encumbrances, all required by best practices, but also Georgia law. January represented 58.3% of the budget year. Just looking at some of the trends on the general fund, the percentage variance between year-to-date revenue and budget was 13.3%. That's compared to 9.9% last year and a 3-year average of 10.6%. And that is what you see there at the top of the screen. The percentage variance between year-to-date expenditures and budget was 0.8% compared to 3.4% last year and a 3-year average of 2.4%. As we talked about already, one of the reasons we're running closer to budget this year is we purchased textbooks and other instructional materials and technology very early in the year this year, which is not a bad thing at all. But it definitely puts strain on our fund balance, and it makes us look like we're trending a little closer to budget. But all those are controlled by limitations, so we're not going to go over budget in those categories. But so in some ways it's good because it puts the resources out in the schools quicker. Unassigned fund balance could support 3.1 months of FY24 budgeted expenditures, and that's compared to 3 months at this same time last year. But the next full quarterly update will be in May when we'll go into the report goes into a lot greater detail. Also, recently, the governor proclaimed School Social Work Week, and that was the week of March 3rd. And we want to say thank you to our social workers for their commitment to our students. I've asked Jason Friedman to come up and talk for just a second about the hard work and the dedication of our social workers. And as he comes up, I'll just tell you, we have 5. You see them there on the screen. With the number of students we have, that's about 6,000 students per individual on the screen. If even just 5% of that 6,000 comes to need their services, that's hundreds that they have to support. I didn't steal any thunder there, did I, Jason? But We're talking about hundreds each one of them have to support. So they do a great job for us. But yeah, I'm sorry, Jason.
No, yeah, good. Good morning. It's an incredible blessing to get to work with these 5 ladies. They are just incredible people, and we get so much positive feedback from all of our stakeholders within the district. We get a lot of requests to clone them. So we can have more of them because they do such a fantastic job. We've got Dr. Terry Smitherman Quick here on the left, and then Jamie Cottrell, Bianca Beasley, Emily Hudson, and Kim Cayetano. And they work within our feeder patterns in the school, and I always tell these guys, you know, they are our ultimate bucket fillers. They leave every situation in better shape than what they find it. And when you speak of the situations that they encounter on a daily basis, to this point in the school year, they've processed a little over 3,500 referrals from within our school district. So these ladies stay super busy, you know, whether they're in court or they're visiting homes or they're rounding up people to serve within the community for families that they've encountered that need that support and help. Man, they just do an incredible job, and our schools love having them, and they're based out of those schools, and they've been, you know, brought in and taken in as a part of the families in those schools. And of course, the person who directly supervises them is Miss Misty Cooksey, who is our Executive Director of Student Supports. And as a side note, Miss Cooksey couldn't be with us this morning, but today is her birthday. So if you get a chance, wish her a happy birthday. But just incredible ladies that we're blessed to have, and they do such a fantastic job, and probably don't get told thank you enough for all that they do. So.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. I also wanted to mention this morning that our Paulding College and Career Academy was recently certified for the next 5 years as a Georgia College and Career Academy by the Technical College System of Georgia. The recertification team was impressed, of course, with our students, but also our parents, our staff, and with the support of our business partners and also our boards to identify and they identified no required actions or deficiencies with our academy. And I guess this is just video morning because we're going to show you a short promo video for PCCA.
School student residing in Paulding County, find your path to career success at the Paulding College and Career Academy. Tailored for students in grades 9 through 12, the mission of the Paulding College and Career Academy is to engage our community to inspire greatness in our students and prepare them for the future needs of our workforce. PCCA currently offers 4 pathways in high-demand career industries that have many well-paying jobs available to students before and after high school graduation. PCCA gives students the opportunity to develop skills and earn college credits, industry credentials, and real-world experience that will be essential to career success after graduation. Current high school pathways include robotics/mechatronics, healthcare, cybersecurity, and an energy lineman program. Core dual enrollment courses are also offered through Chattahoochee Technical College.
The classes that I took here with the medical terminology, the diet and nutrition, right now I'm on structure and function. Those classes will give me all the prerequisites I need for my nursing degree.
I came to PCCA to learn one of my greatest interests. I want to be an aerospace engineer. I saw the mechatronics pathway and I really wanted to get into it.
Originally, me joining the PCCA actually stemmed from a friend. He had been in the program prior, and I found interest in it because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do after high school. So, you know, having a chance to be in high school and come and be outside at the same time and work with my hands definitely interested me.
It's actually a lot of fun here. You get to come here, you meet people from different schools. My dad really wanted me to be in it. He thought I would be really good at cybersecurity, and I find that it's a really easy pathway and it's enjoyable.
I'm a first-year lineman's apprentice. I have a buddy, he works here. He's been here for like 2 or 3 years. He did the PCCA also. So that's how I think about it. I did an internship over the summer. I got picked, did an interview for it. I probably wouldn't have had this job if I didn't do that career pathway, got that internship.
PCCA is open to all students who reside in Paulding County, including homeschool and private school students. Experience the convenience of flexible scheduling with morning and afternoon sessions, accommodating your home high school schedule. Transportation is provided from all 5 Paulding County School District high schools daily for both sessions.
I just love this class, and I love Miss McCoy, so I love everybody.
I think it makes you a well-rounded individual, not only for just this workforce, but any workforce you want to join in the future.
I would absolutely recommend PCCA to other students. It is such an amazing school.
For additional details, please visit our website or email pcca@paulding.k12.ga.us.
And again, thank you to our communications team for putting that together. We're going to push that out, obviously, all different sorts of channels. So it's a great job to you guys for that. Also want to say just a kudos to our HR group, D. Carol White, who's our Chief Talent Officer, who's here, and Jennifer Gavant, who's also in the room somewhere, our Executive Director of Human Resources, and really the entire HR team. Last week was it was their Super Bowl in some ways. It was their the transfer and the job fair for next year. And we had 310 new candidates interested in joining the Paulding County School District. It was quite the sight to behold. It was there have been years, obviously during the pandemic, where it was a lot leaner, and it was great to see the excitement of the event. And so they did a wonderful job, and I just wanted to take a second to say thank you to those guys. And then also wanted to congratulate a few more students. In the interest of time, their names are on the screen, but students from Paulding County High School, Academy of Science, Research, and Medicine on the left there, recently earned a first place finish at the Cobb Paulding Regional Science Fair. These students represented their school and our district, showcasing their hard work and innovative thinking in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Additionally, all qualified to compete in the 2024 Georgia Science and Engineering Fair in April. This event will provide the students with an opportunity to share their research with leading scientists and engineers and compete for additional awards, honors, and even scholarships. Whoops, go back. At the bottom right, you see there we want to congratulate the Black History Academic Bowl academic teams and their coaches. We actually had 7 teams compete in the Black History Bowl for the district. The last 4 years, Paulding County School District's middle school teams have attended. The last 2 years, we've had more teams in the competition than much larger districts like Cobb and the city of Atlanta. This year, all 7 teams advanced to round 2, and 2 teams from Austin and Dobbins Middle School, that's the 2 pictures you see there at the bottom right, advanced to the championship round. And then finally, the top right there, you see the Tiny House Competition, which is a project of the Paulding County School District Work-Based Learning Program, and is coordinated by Monica Rizda, our Work-Based Learning Coordinator. This was the 4th annual event for 4th graders in Paulding County School District to develop career awareness and employability skills. Entries were displayed at the Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport for the public to view and vote on their favorite design. Students from the architecture and design class at East Paulding High School were the judges for best design. Winners were chosen from each school, and the overall district winners you see there on the screen. We had a record number of 53 entries this year, so it was tough competition. And there you see again the People's Choice Award and the best design winner for the school district. So congratulations to all those students. And then finally, believe it or not, graduation is right around the corner. So we wanted to again share those dates and times with you, both occurring on a weekday, either on a Wednesday or a Thursday, May 22nd or 23rd, all starting at 8 p.m. And then finally, our next meeting will be our board meeting on March 26th here at the district offices. And so, Madam Chair, with that, I will move on to growth and success for all. And so over the past year, as the board's aware, the school, district, and community leaders have worked together to create a graduate profile for the district. And this is a list of characteristics and skills that we all want our students to have when they graduate. This initiative was led by Dr. Alan Dawes, our Director of Advising and Counseling. He's going to present the process the team took in developing that graduate profile. But first, I've asked Tiffany Frazier, she's our Chief Academic Officer, to frame this initiative in the context of our strategic plan. Good morning, Ms. Frazier.
Good morning. Good morning. What an awesome opportunity to go after the PCCA video, because it really is just a physical example of exactly what we believe our school district should be, which is a place where every kid can find their passion and their career and their focus and have every opportunity available to them. At the heart of our mission is our commitment to success for today and tomorrow, and the high quality opportunities that we provide our students give every child the opportunity to develop into what they want to be. I sometimes tell my kids, like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, because really as the world changes and moves around us, there's just so many opportunities, things that I wasn't even aware that I could do growing up. I'm going to date myself. Before we had access to, the internet and things, your world was as small as your school and your family could expose you to. And so the opportunities that our kids are just limitless. But few of us arrived at where we are today with our passions and our careers just from reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? We arrived there because some adult or some experience in our life gave us a vision for something else that we could be, some other way that we could contribute to our community. And for some of us, it's how we can serve and grow and contribute back to the community in which we live and even beyond. As a board, you all designed a forward-thinking and innovative strategic plan that captured those same ideals. Academic student success is the foundation, but again, we've also committed to college career and life readiness. You'll remember our strategy map from the strategic plan, which you all approved 2 years ago. And what's in the boxes is, again, growth and success for all and innovative practices and resource implementation. We're committed to the academic success of all students, but we're also committed to their futures. And one of the ways that we do that, and one of the reasons for the graduate profile, is to really dig in with our stakeholders and identify what we want beyond the classroom for our kids. Because we don't just want graduates, we definitely want graduates who can read and write and speak and are competent in their academic subjects, but we also want them to be able to do much more and contribute much more to our community. So that's where the graduate profile falls. It is our collective commitment to our students and what all we want for them. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to steal Dr. Dawes' thunder, but again, Dr. Dawes, our Director of Counseling, has been working on this with a large group of stakeholders throughout the school year, and he's going to describe to you the process and the purpose of our graduate profile. Dr. Dawes, you're behind me again.
Ms. Frazier. Appreciate it. All right. Oh, you're changing it for me. Even better. Thank you, Michelle. All right. So, as Ms. Frazier just said, and we first of all, we've taken this year to create this graduate profile. It's been really a labor of love. It's been a lot of fun to create this. Just to kind of give you an overview of what we're talking about here. This graduate profile is really a list of characteristics and skills that we want our students to have when they exit our doors. That is the final product. So, got a couple of folks up here that defined it a little bit differently. A clear visualization of priority goals for teaching and learning that can be easily communicated to students, parents, faculty, and staff, and to align their collective efforts. So really, we're doing a lot of the alignment piece inside of this. So, I'm going to the next one. Really, I like to look at this as like a lens through which we're going to view a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different strategic planning. So we're going to look at this graduate profile and we're going to align those, our strategic plan with this, our school improvement plans with this, any K through 12 instructional improvements, any future programs and partnerships. This is really kind of like our North Star, if you will, kind of a guiding point, okay? So these are our team members. So it was a mixture of district leaders, school leaders, and community leaders. and you can see the list up here. Some of the folks you obviously recognize, right? Some of the folks are in this room. But we really wanted to emphasize that this was a collective effort, that this was, not just coming from the school level, not just coming from the district level, but we made sure to involve community leaders as well and incorporate a bunch of different feedback from a lot of our community and stakeholders. All right, so this was the general timeline. So if you're looking up here, so this is a full year's worth of work here. So we wanted to start out with obviously doing some research on core skills and competencies. And then we connected those skills and competencies with our missions and beliefs, basically, our vision, okay? We created a first profile draft right around April 2023, and then we started to get feedback. So we went into schools. We went to the leadership at the district level. We went to the leadership at the school level. We took them to community members. And so we used that feedback from those multiple stakeholder groups to kind of finalize that profile. And then we worked on developing a visual for that, which is honestly, you'll see a huge jump from our actual profile to the visual that was created. And then this spring, we finalized this, and we made sure to get feedback all along the way. We integrated the profile into our district culture, and we're going to use this to inform our decision making. This is what the group came up with. You can see that educators created this, organized leaders created this. We were not on the visual end, right? So this was something that took a lot of conversation. So we really broke down into 3 different areas. So professional, academic, and personal. And then with some big key bullet points that we wanted to make sure our students had. So I've actually got a copy that I'm going to give you here in a moment when we get to the final visual. But you can see that under professional, we wanted our students to be effective communicators. We wanted them to have civic knowledge and engagement, organizational skills, teamwork and collaboration, leadership development. Under academic, we wanted them to be obviously aware of what is out there for them, not just college, but there's a lot of different options. We wanted them to be college and career ready. We wanted our students to have critical thinking and creative problem-solving skills, and have knowledge on civic knowledge and engagement. And then under personal, we broke it down into interpersonal and intrapersonal, basically a bunch of different character traits that we wanted to make sure that we emphasized. So this was the most fun part of the process. We quickly realized once we developed this list that the visual wasn't very, visually appealing, right? So it was, we understood that. So who better than to create this than our students? So we have 2 graphic design programs in our county. One is at East Paulding and one is at Hiram. So I went to both of their classes. So these are the 2 classes, Mr. Bishop's and Mr. Rowe's class. Mr. Bishop is at Hiram High School and Mr. Rowe is at East Paulding High School. So we created a little contest for the students. I went to their highest level students and created this homework assignment for them that they did over several weeks. So they created their profile. Each student created a visual of the graphic or of the graduate profile, and then the class itself did edits, basically peer edited each other's, and then they turned in their top 5. So each class voted on their top 5. So we had 10. Then we took those 10 back to our graduate profile team. They narrowed it down to 2. And then Mr. Burnett and the group selected the final one. So I'm very pleased to show you the end result of this. So this is where we came up with. So doesn't that look a lot better than than that previous graph? So I actually have the creator of this profile here. and it's Miss Guadalupe Diaz. Can you stand up, Miss Diaz? I just want to recognize her. She did an excellent job. So you can see, obviously, we incorporated the importance of graduation with the graduation hat, obviously our logo, and then you can see how really great that all seamlessly kind of came together. So I do have a copy of this, a hard copy for you guys to keep. But yeah, so we really had a great time doing this, and I really think that this is going to be driving a lot of our decisions, moving forward, and really just kind of give us a good perspective on where we are trying to go with our students. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, Dr. Dawes, and thank you, all of you, for being. Ms. Diaz, thank you for coming this morning, and obviously Ms. Frazier for framing that for us. Do you guys want to take a quick picture with Ms. Diaz and everybody? And
slide this way as much as you can. Okay, great. Okay, look this way, big smiles. One more. Thank you very much.
all right, with that, we will move on to a FY25 budget update. And for that, I am going to ask Ms. Amber Thesma to come forward. And this is the time of year where Amber's she's in high demand.
Oh, yes.
And so the great thing about what and we're just going to touch on just a couple of things. We're not going to go into great detail because this is a long document, but it is how we frame the budget. It's really how we begin to tell our story with the budget for next year. And so a lot of the same, facts and figures get updated, and we find new ways to express kind of some of the challenges we face. So she's just going to give you a quick overview. I think I'm going to step in at one point and say something. I think Dr. Grigadis is going to come up, but we're going to move through it kind of quick because this is going to be a document we live with for the next several months and really beyond. So thank you, Ms. Thesma. I'll let you kick us off.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
So today we are going to present our budget foundation, or as we used to refer to it as the primer. And this will be referred to throughout our budget development process. And if you look at our roadmap for the budget, this is essentially the kickoff to our exciting budget season. And this is also our first public meeting for the FY25 budget. And this was advertised in the Dallas New Era and on our website. First, though, we wanted to just kind of give an overview that this mainly covers our 4 areas that impact or influence our budget, and those areas include our demographic and economic factors, enrollment, funding, and legislative factors. First, I want to focus on our demographic and economic factors influencing the budget. While Paulding County continues to have favorable employment and poverty levels, the school district does continue to face challenges associated with a below-average tax digest per student, resulting in a limited local funding. As this slide reflects, even after recovering from the Great Recession, we remain 1,060 or 26% lower than the average statewide local revenue per pupil. And this issue stems from our enrollment growth, higher children per household ratios, and a limited commercial and industrial tax base, resulting in a tax digest disproportionately residential at 86%. The school district also remains the largest employer and industry in Paulding County, and we have seen a recent decline in building permits, in residential sales, and a short-term stabilization in home values, and an increase in days on the market for homes. Moving into our enrollment factors, Paulding County School District is one of the largest and fastest growing and low-wealth school districts in Georgia. As you see on this slide, the district remains the 11th largest school district in Georgia over a prior 3 years, and we are the 8th fastest growing large district in Georgia. The latest demographic studies strongly suggest that this growth momentum will continue for the next 5 to 10 years, outpacing comparable districts in the region. Currently, our FY25 projections reflect an increase of 344 students, or 1.1%, to 31,935. Over the prior 10 years, the district has grown 3,317 students, or that's equivalent to 11.7%. I think I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Barnett for funding factors.
So, thank you, Ms. Thesman. I was just going to mention that due to all the factors that she's just highlighted, including that significantly lower non-residential digest percentage of 14% and a comparable millage rate to other large and neighboring school districts, our local revenue per pupil is expected to remain materially low, lower than that of other large and comparable districts. We do remain the 4th largest recipient of equalization, which is still around 7% of our total revenue, which provides some relief through state revenue, but around 57% of our total revenue continues to come from state sources, which is unique around the state. The district, of course, then remains highly vulnerable to legislative changes, which is what Dr. Grigadis is going to talk a little bit about, especially those that that impact funding. So, for example, past legislative changes like modifications to local fair share are going to have a significant impact on district funding, and you'll hear more about that as we go through the budget season. But out of 16 comparable districts, and that's defined as 20 to 60,000 students, we rank 12th in local revenue per pupil, 2nd in state revenue per pupil. So compared to all 180 school districts, what that looks like is we rank 95th in local revenue and 98th in state revenue per pupil. But again, we're the 11th largest, so we rank 11 when it comes to school districts in Georgia as far as size. So looking at local total and local revenue on the left side there of the slide, we currently collect, again, locally, in total, we collect 90 cents for every dollar. These are some of the metrics we're really going to push this year to better tell our story. So we collect 90 cents on every dollar in total revenue per pupil compared to the statewide average. And then if you just look at local, we collect 74 cents to the dollar in local revenue per pupil, again, against that statewide average. On the right side, when it comes to SPLOST, we currently collect only 55 cents for every dollar collected on average by our neighboring school districts, and that includes Cobb, Cherokee, Douglas, and Bartow. And when you consider the debt service that we pay out of SPLOST, that number actually drops to 41 cents. So we have basically 41 cents to every dollar that our neighboring districts has to it collects through SPLOST and that we can use to address our capital concerns. So with that.
And Superintendent Barnett, that is in lieu of a bond millage rate for the county. So I think that's important to note.
Yep. That 55 to 41, that's the trade-off, exactly. And so Dr. Grigadis is going to just step up and just talk a little bit about some of the legislative factors, some of which you guys are aware of, and just will serve sort of as an update. But
okay. Question before you go there. Mm-hmm. So I know that the system is constantly gathering data and information. I know that some of those enrollment numbers come from studies the district has performed, and some are from third parties that the district is hired to perform those. At this point, can you, and I don't need an answer if you don't have it, you could email it to me, but in terms of the enrollment projections and some of that data versus our, well, I don't say versus, in comparison to some of our brother and sister districts of similar size, Can you give us more information about the collection of that information? Because I know that the system used to collect it a certain way, and we have local sources, and then, of course, coming off the last census, there was a lot of information out there about what other counties, specifically in our state, were experiencing in terms of growth and in terms of revenue projections. And I know we have our local revenue projections and our local estimates on growth, but I'm interested in if you could provide more information about collecting that data that we use for comparison to other counties, so we can continue to monitor and to study where we are in comparison with other counties, and specifically the projections going forward, if that makes sense.
No, that's great. We'll give you more detail later. Yeah, you just said projections going forward. So what I was going to say is in the I keep wanting to say primer, which is why they don't call it primer anymore. But there's a source to every page where it comes from. But for enrollment, we compare ourselves using the Department of Education's actuals that get submitted to the state. And we typically obviously go with October as sort of being our line in the sand when it comes to enrollment. And I'm stating kind of the obvious, but because I know most of the board already know this, but when we look at enrollment for next year, at this point, it's really driven by Ms. Thesma, because by the time we finish the budget, we're only a few months away from October. So it becomes, a lot less difficult to project just a few months away. But we do use, demographics. We have our own internal metrics, but we also use a demographer, for our long term. And maybe I think what you're asking, Nick, is what do other districts do? And I think that'd be interesting to see how many use demographics, how many of them just use demographics, right. And then how do they get that information? That'd be interesting to see. I know how Cobb and others do it, but I don't know. We should get a broader array.
Because I know some are moving towards everybody takes DOE numbers and takes the past government numbers, but some districts are moving towards, okay, you know what, if we want a better, cleaner, more specific snapshot of our specific growth in terms of projections and that type of information to study, then some of them are using third-party sources, but and I don't know enough about what they're doing with the data, but I think some of the mid-size and maybe larger systems are saying, they take the public information, but they also go through their own methodology to gather more specific so they can study and make better projections.
That's a great question. We'll look into it. Really, maybe what we ought to do is be looking at this slide here at the bottom of the districts that are growing similar to us or even losing. What are they using? I mean, of course, if a district's stable, it becomes a lot less important. It may just be relying on their own. But yeah, that's a great question. We'll definitely work on that, Mr. Chester. Thank you. Sorry, back there. Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, good morning.
To your slide.
Good morning. So here to talk about legislative updates. Obviously, we know as a low wealth district, we are highly susceptible to any changes in legislation that impact state funding. Mr. Barnett mentioned just a minute ago about 57% of our funding comes from the state. So I wanted to share some budget impacting legislation that's out there. The majority of this comes from House Bill 916, which is the FY25 budget that passed through the House recently and has made its way over to the Senate. The good news is some of those bullet points that you see there are tied directly to some of our legislative priorities. So there are some things that are in the proposed budget for FY25 that come directly from our legislative priorities. So starting with a $2,500 raise for QBE funded certified staff, that has made its way into the budget for the upcoming year. Part of our legislative priorities was actually increase in salary and benefits for all employees. This covers our certified staff, so that's a good start. The second thing in there is increasing the QBE funding for state health benefit for our certified employees. This is typically in our budget, so anytime the employer contribution goes up for certified staff, that has made its way into the state budget before, so it makes it into our QBE funding. One of our legislative priorities this year and multiple years has actually been that budget below that, so an increase to state health benefit employer costs for classified staff. That has not made its way into the budget at this point. So the increase in state health benefits for our classified staff, which is a large number of clerical, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, that at this point is going to fall on our local budget. So that's about a 10.5% increase in what the employer contribution will be this year for state health benefits. So for us, that's about a $1.3 million change.
So that 10% increase that we're doing, is that keeping the employees' contribution stable from year to year? Or are we having to put some of that burden back on the employee as well?
This is just the state health benefit plan, so it's only the employer portion that we're talking about. I don't think they're changing the state health benefit plan employee for this year.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And that 10.5, so for certified staff, we'll receive QB funding for our certified staff for that 10.5. We just won't receive it for classified staff at this point, unless they change that budget from state. The next thing on there is a 4.1% raise for bus drivers and school nurses. So we did talk about specifically salary increases, and we put in all capital letters, all of our staff. So in the past several years, we've received certified salary changes, and we've asked that that be extended to all of our bus drivers, nurses, custodials. So this is a start, 4.1%. They have changed the transportation formula funding in this budget, so that's going to benefit us for the upcoming year. And then the second from last item on there, school safety and security. That's been on our legislative priorities for a number of years. Typically, they've just set that out as a grant, so it could change from year to year. You applied for some safety and security grants from the state. With this budget, they have made it a line item, and that line item is $45,000 per school. That should be in this year's QB and moving forward each year.
Is that specific to certain items? In other words, is there restrictions on how we spend that money with regard to safety and security?
There are some stipulations, but they're not as strict as personnel versus supplies, materials, or programs. There's legislation out there that talks about a panic alert system. So legislators have talked about that panic alert, saying schools could utilize that $45,000 for that. Other legislators have talked about utilizing that for personnel, SROs, security staff. So they haven't, obviously it has to be spent on safety and security, but they haven't drilled down specific. And then the last one I did want to bring attention to and talk, because we spoke about it in February. This is legislation that's around property value and homestead exemptions. So we gave an update on that in February, and at that time we had 6 bills that were on the agenda we talked about that had to do with homestead. So since that time, we've reached crossover days. So the number of bills that are still in play for us, the ones that are no longer bolded, and I apologize, it's difficult to read up there, but House Bill 1177 and Senate Bill 364, and I do love a pointer. This bill and this bill did not cross over by crossover day. So technically they are not eligible to be passed this session. Now, that's not to say, as you know, that they couldn't be tied into one of the other bills, but at this point, they're not eligible to be passed as is. The other 4 that are on there, House Bill 1019, House Bill 1185, Senate Bill 349, and House Bill 1148 are still eligible. You can see those first 3 there have passed either the House or Senate. So they've crossed over. They were approved by either the House or Senate and have crossed over to the other House. At this point, they have not been voted on. That last one is a little unique because, as we talked about last time, 1148 is a local legislation. So that really is not beholden to that crossover day. So it does not have to pass over by crossover at any time between now and March 28th, the last day of the legislative session. They could move that through the House and the Senate. So that one is another one we're keeping there as technically still alive. So last time we were here, I tried to explain what each one of these bills meant to us in terms of homestead, just using words. I'm going to try to do a little better in pictures because it's very complicated, so bear with me on this. But this currently, if you looked at home values in the county, and off to the left you see FY24 and 25, we're just going to use an example today of adjusted home values, so 40% of the home value. If in FY24 a home was valued at $100,000, and we'll say that this year increased in price to $110,000. Now remember, that's 40% adjusted value. So that really is the difference between a $250,000 home and a $275,000 home. So over the past several years, if you'd owned a home in that price range, it wouldn't be rare over the last several years that your home could have gone from $250,000 to $275,000 in assessed value. But we assess those at the 40% value. So for that scenario, currently what we have is a $2,000 homestead. If this is a homestead in Georgia and you've applied for that homestead, you get $2,000 off of that assessed value. So currently that same home, now worth now worth $110,000. We collect $2,000 comes off of that assessed value. That's the homestead exemption. Now that home is assessed at $108,000. So actually $8,000 more than it would have been assessed on last year. So currently that home for us, we would get our 17.675 mils on $108,000. So we want to go each scenario of the current bills that are still there. House Bill 1019, without looking back at that last one, that bill looks at the doubling of the homestead. So taking that homestead from $2,000 to $4,000. So in this scenario, we've got that same valued house. It's valued at $110,000. You would have the traditional $2,000 homestead. You get an additional $2,000 because they're doubling the homestead with House Bill 1019. So that same home for us, given this bill passing, means we would have 17.675 mils on $106,000. Next bill, 1185. This one is a little unique. Now, this one talked about, if you remember last time, CPI, or the rate of inflation, saying that you would receive a floating homestead if the value went over CPI. So we looked at, and Mr. Barnett can speak more to this than I could, but what rates of inflation are, depending on what index you use, but we just kind of looked at over the last 3 years with a common CPI index, and we said inflation on average has gone up about 5%. Actually a little higher than that, but for this scenario we wanted to make a nice even number for us. So if in this case CPI was 5%, what 1185 says that you're going to get your $2,000 homestead that is currently in state law, and then you're going to get a homestead for anything above 5% of CPI. So that home is valued at $100,000 previously. That bill says it cannot go up more than 5%. So now the value of that home is 105%. You're going to receive, or a homeowner is going to receive, a $3,000 floating homestead above that. So in that scenario, the assessed value for us for the 17.675 mils is now at $105,000. So you can see with each scenario that the decrease in the assessed value for us. Sure.
Can you expound on what floating means?
Absolutely. For this one, a floating homestead means it can change from year to year. So currently the homestead is $2,000. It can't go up, or I'm sorry, you get $2,000 off of the assessed value. Floating homestead is that orange component that you see there. So if this scenario had actually changed and it had gone the value of the home from $100,000 to $150,000, then it would no longer be a $3,000 floating homestead. The floating homestead would increase because the value has increased more. So the floating homestead is the difference between whatever the assessed value is and whatever 5% of CPI is, or whatever CPI is, whether it's 5%, 3%, 7%. So it could change from year to year.
Could you boil it down to say that the $2,000 homestead exemption stays no matter what?
Right.
And in that scenario, your overall budget couldn't increase more than 5%?
The assessed value of the home could not increase more
So
than
which
5%.
would equate to our whole budget. Obviously, you got businesses and other things in there. It's much more complicated than that. But on the homeowner side of the equation, the school district's budget is capped at 5% increase on just about every house in the community, correct?
Yep, for the ones that are going
There
above
you go.
5%. Senate Bill 349. So this one is a little different. This didn't have to do with CPI. Senate Bill 349 says it's going to cap it at 3%. So the assessed value cannot gain more than 3% in value year over year. So in this scenario, that $110,000 home, going from 100 to 110, that says that it can only go up to $103,000 as a value. So
As far as the assessment, not necessarily the value.
correct, what we can assess the value, correct. So the
Yeah,
homeowner
that doesn't affect the actual value
Right,
of the
right.
house, what it would be on the fair market.
Right.
They're just trying to limit the amount of tax revenue that can be collected.
Yes, I do understand that.
Correct. So in that case, the homestead for that home that year, you get the $2,000 for the state homestead, and then there would be an additional $5,000 because it can't go over 3% in that scenario. So each one, if you remember for us, a mill, 1 mill is $1 on every $1,000. So get a little scale of the impact of these. And then that last one, House Bill 1148 is very complicated. If you remember, we talked about it last time. That one actually has a half of CPI. So in this scenario, we said CPI was 5. So that home value can't go from 100 to beyond 105. In House Bill 1148, they say it can't go higher than half of CPI. So in this scenario, half of CPI would be $2,500. What makes this one unique is that if you remember, this one set, too many clicks to go back, but this one reset the adjusted home value back to the lowest value of that home during 2020, 2021, and 2022. So in this case scenario, what we did was we said a home that was worth $100,000 this year, if you went back to 3 years ago, we assumed it would be about 25% less is what we saw in home value. So we took that same $100,000 home and said now it's only assessed on $75,000. So in this scenario, the home's assessed at $75,000. Half of CPI, so half of 5%, 2.5% of $7,500 is $1,875. You still get your state homestead of $2,000, but the floating homestead in this scenario would be $33,000 on that. So in this scenario, home value, which had gone from 100 and 110,000, the assessed value would change to $83,200. So we'd receive 17 mills on $83,200. So that would have a more significant, if you can see that orange as it goes from left to right, it talks about the impact that it would have on collections for mills.
Dr. Gates, quick question and one comment. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you've got 5% inflation this year, next year you have 5%. That's actually 10% over 2 years because inflation is cumulative. It's not on a baseline anywhere. It's cumulative. So you got 3 this year and 5 next year. That's 8% total growth over 2 years. I mean, inflation over 2 years. My question was, could you take a $250,000, $300,000 house, whatever's easiest to multiply, and just see what the dollar value per house would be?
In terms of the impact on each one of these?
Impact to each one of them.
We can. This one is actually set with a 200, initially that home was valued at $250,000. We jumped it to $275,000. That's where these numbers come from.
Is that the average value of a house here? And what I'm looking at is what would be the total impact.
Right. Average value of a home in Paulding, I believe right now is $250,000
or $280,000.
$280,000.
Depends on who you ask. Census versus the tax assessor's office.
I've seen it from $251,000 up to maybe $280,000. So we've got numbers. This would be a very close scenario to that.
We got a question. Did we ever? So the first 4 bills to the left are all statewide bills, correct? They're not
Correct.
local legislation. Did we ever find out why the House Bill 1148 is so far skewed to the bottom of the barrel compared to the other 4 statewide? I mean, if you look at that one, and it's just based just solely for Paulding County, I mean, that would have the potential, Mr. Barnett, to lay off how many employees at that point? $42 million. I mean, how many schools would we have to close if that passed? I mean, because that just looks to me like somebody may not have done their homework on the Paulding County School District budget or the county budget before they put that in. So just based on comparison to the statewide average, because I think the other statewide bills, those first 2 or 3 may make sense if it was uniform, but that Paulding County one looks just like it's an arrow through the heart of every student in this county, and I just don't know why. I mean, Steve, am I on the right track? Can you attest to some of those numbers, how that would impact us?
Yeah, and it would definitely be a significant impact on the budget, on the order of what we went through with the Great Recession. Not sure we'd close schools, but it would definitely result in some significant layoffs.
Well, obviously, we wouldn't close schools, but like if you just compared that many employees to how many employees are in a specific school on the equivalent, how many you would have to board up to make up for that $42 million loss. Does that make sense? Not that we would ever do that, but, you know, if you could kind of look at it that way.
I will say that without sliding through all of those charts again, if you looked at that previous sheet, one of those bills that did not cross over did have a similar stipulation where it put the value back to 2020, 21, or 22, the lowest value. That did not pass out of the House at that time. So I don't know whether this was kind of molded off of that as well, but it seemed to be a combination of that bill and a CPI bill, looking at half.
But that one was
Question.
statewide. When this
That
was
bill
on
was
the-
a statewide that did not progress, correct?
Question. If you know, and I think maybe it moves a little bit, when is the legislative session slated to be over with?
March 28th.
End of the month? Okay, thank you.
I will say in running this scenario, Mr. Dean, to your point, this bill here, in this scenario, the difference between our current and House Bill 1019 for that one home is $35. And it progresses over to, I believe it was about $550 for this homestead in that scenario. And that's for homes that are right around the average value in the home in the Paulding County. So we are going to continue. We have, as I said, till March 28th for this legislative session. We're going to continue to monitor these bills to see how they progress in the General Assembly. We're going to express our concerns, continue to express our concerns to not just our delegation, but other legislations there, because one of you said it just a moment ago, when 86% of our digest comes from residential, our local digest, some of these are disproportionate to Paulding County compared to some other counties. 80, 89.
Yeah, I think the latest one is 88, but it's right at 90, yeah.
Ranges from 88 to 91 in different years.
Thank you, Dr. Regatas. This is the first of many more conversations. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you, Amber Thesma, who's still in the room. There you are, our Director of Financial Planning and Analysis. She's been working on this for months. This is not new to her, so thank you for all you've done putting this together. We'll come back to this and refer to it often. The full foundations document is attached to this agenda. It's also on our website under Business Services, so so anyone wants to go look at that full report, we'd love for them to do that. So with that, we will move on to a construction update. I am going to ask our Director of Facilities, Doug Carey, to come forward, and as he walks up, I was just going to mention that. Oh, there you already are. So I ask him to introduce some of his team, just because he's, as we've said before, I don't know, a year or so ago, he had a team of one. And so we built this thing out. It really is that whole race car going around the racetrack at 200 miles an hour while you build the car. So he was going to introduce some of his team, and then just touch on some of the projects we have going on. So, Mr. Carey.
Yes, if you all want to come up here for just a second, I'd like to introduce you to the real brains behind the operation. So I'm really proud and excited to have the group here. So up first, I've got Jacob Wicks and Brian Ragsdale. Those are our two directors. So the Division of Facilities is really organized with a capital department and a maintenance department. Brian and Jacob here both have been with part of the Paulding County School District for a long time. Combined, they have decades of institutional knowledge. And I struck gold when I joined Paulding County Schools and got to work with this whole group. But these guys especially have been a wealth of information, and really the secret sauce behind a functioning and sustainable facilities division is a good relationship between maintenance and capital. So what good is it to overbuild on day one when we can't maintain it down the road? So a good balance there is critical, and we've got that here. So I'm really excited about that. And then next we've got Lindsay Cantrell, who's one of our senior project managers. Very, very excited and happy to have her on the staff. She comes with a really extensive background on the contractor side, knows construction sites backwards and forwards. Very, very big asset to our team. And Purvi Ray here is our newest member. She's also a senior project manager. She comes from an architectural background. So between the two of them, we have a lot of skills that we can offer and help keep the whole division on the right track. And then can't forget Brian Ricketson here. So we've got big projects and we've got what we call small projects, but the small projects are not unimportant projects. So next time, there's somebody somewhere that even though there might be a memorial bench or a flagpole or a bench or a pavilion or something out there, might in comparison be a little smaller than a new school or an addition or something like that, but no less important to somebody out there. So, and in comparison, there are many, many, many more of these quote-unquote small projects than there are the large projects. So Brian's very critical to the team as well. So now you see the real brains behind the operation, and I struck gold when I came to work here, and it's my privilege to work with this group every day. So I wanted to introduce them to you, and so you can put a face to the names here. So thank you all. So with that, all right, you guys can sit down, and we'll get into some fun stuff. We'll talk about sewers and dirt and concrete and steel. So this is our construction update for March.
Hey, Doug, before you get started, I did want to remind everyone that Mr. Wicks there is our representative on the Planning and Zoning Board. So he attends those meetings, votes, keeps a record online so folks can see of what our position is, what the projected impact of that development would be. In fact, they recently had one come through where we laid out, look, this is going to have a negative impact. That maybe among other reasons it was denied, and so of course a lot of our properties are under PRD, so it doesn't make it to it's beyond Jacob's level. But anyway, thank you for doing all that, Jacob. And I want to just mention one other thing real quick. We talk a lot about how in Paulding we have to learn to do more with less, and this kind of struck me yesterday, and I wanted just to mention it. We talk about maintenance. These guys. Brian Ragsdale and his team do an extraordinary job. I asked Amber to go back and look and see, just find 3 comparably sized school districts. And so she found the most comparable as far as size is concerned, kind of the footprint of the school district. And I asked her, I said, tell me how much they spend per pupil in maintenance, which, as Ms. Lyons just said, is primarily driven by people, compared to what we're able to spend. And so the average for those 3 is $1,100, just over $1,100 per pupil, compared to $735 we spend per pupil. So it's about almost $400 less per student. It's about 34% less per student. They spend around 9.3%, the average, about 9.3% of their total budget. We spend 6%. So again, it's about a 3.5% difference, which equates to about $13 million. If you just take that difference, that 3%, multiply it times their total budget. So these guys are great examples of figuring out a way to make it work. That's the only way. The whole story of Paulding County School District is we are greater than the sum of our parts. We produce more than any other district, I think, in Georgia, based on the resources we have. That's just our story. And so it's played out in maintenance. So I know we don't brag on Brian enough and his team, so I want to take the chance while he's in the room to say thank you. I appreciate it. Please share that with your guys and ladies, and you guys do an excellent job.
Yeah.
Sorry, Doug.
No, absolutely. And I concur. And one thing I didn't mention that I should have is, think about it this way. It's the projects. Each project is in the hands of the capital side for a very limited amount of time. It's in the hands of maintenance for the life of the building. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to build it right at the front end the first time. So because if you build it wrong, the maintenance department has a lifetime of headaches to deal with. So let's build it right the first time. So let's talk about what we're building. We've got Crossroads Middle School here. We've got a mascot now. We've got school colors. Things are moving. It's really more focused on the inside of the building now. You know, we're starting to approach getting out of the muddy part of the muddy season. So, but a lot of the focus has been on the inside. So you can see we're about 85% of the brickwork, and really most of the remaining part is the interior that's not finished. I've got some shots of the inside here for you. The upper left is a classroom. So we keep seeing those same exterior photos where it looks the same. Well, the inside is really advanced. You see a lot of paint on the walls in the classrooms. You see ceiling, you see light fixtures, you see finished HVAC systems. We're just waiting on some of the power and the gas and the water supply to be delivered, and we're going to be really moving on the project. Still projected to be open on time in August of '24. We've had meetings with the DOT as well to organize and coordinate that road. We met with them at the end of February, so trying to offer our services, trying to do what we can to help the team so we can all be successful together. I'm going to keep moving here. Burnt Hickory. This project has been opened. We would call this, we're approaching our closeout phase, so we've hit substantial completion. Obviously, you remember the ribbon cutting, great day. Very happy to have that one completed. We're finishing up the final stages of the punch out on that one. So, what's that?
That was really fun.
Yes, it was. It was great. It was great. Okay, I skipped a slide here. North Paulding High School addition. Lots to say about this, but just to keep it real brief, that photo's even a little outdated as of now. The big news there, the crane is gone. Yay for that. All that structural steel is up off the ground now and in the air, installed. A lot of the structural concrete and the slabs should be at or very close to being finished. The addition's going great. Over the summer, we'll be focused on the interior of the existing school building. So on the slide there, you'll see we've got some CTAE labs that are projected to be finished by August 1st, this coming year, 24. So that's healthcare, science, the drafting room, culinary arts classroom. There are more in the addition, but this is just the things that are be online for August of 24. Physical education spaces downstairs will be worked on. Media center upgrades, all of this stuff will be worked on over the summer. The serving line, the lunchroom should be up and ready for fall of 24. And then we continue to have more parking spaces brought online as well.
Are we saying we're going to have another 200 by the end of 2025?
Well, that'll be when it's all complete.
But we're adding another 200 spaces.
There's going to be a total from the beginning of the project, not an additional 200 spaces.
Okay, so do you, given the fact that we're at 3,200 kids and we just picked up some land out there, what is our plan to are we going to be able to park every junior and senior at that point or close to it?
We'll get you the exact numbers.
I will get back to you on that. The parking is a complicated topic that will have a lot of aspects to it, so I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
It's funny, I was just thinking, what is the cost of an additional parking level as opposed to the cost of more land? I mean, is it?
There's a lot of different aspects. Yeah,
Land-
there's a lot of
I
different
think
aspects.
land will
to
be
look
cheaper.
at on the
A lot
parking
cheaper.
side. Yes, it's a deep dive for sure. But the story today is, the takeaway for everybody to know is, come this August, there should be 42 additional spaces. When the project finishes, there's a lot of spaces that are not utilized right now for students because they're being used by the construction team. So as it progresses, it'll get gradually better and better for them.
And
Yes.
Doug, I just want to clarify. So when you talk about the additional 200 parking spaces, you're talking about additional 200 from when we started the project, not from before we ever started. I just want to clear that up.
That's correct.
So the overall picture is 200 additional spaces.
That's correct.
But
That's
some
correct.
of those were built 9 months ago.
Yes, and it's coming, as we get closer to the finish line, more and more of them are coming online, and there'll be a lot more coming online when we are finished and all the construction pulls off the property.
If we're limited on juniors and seniors having parking places, wouldn't you think that the deep dive would be appropriate now instead of later?
On a parking deck?
Yeah.
I wouldn't support a parking deck, not when we can buy land, John.
I'm talking about for additional parking period. If we don't have enough parking places come January or in the fall of '25, wouldn't we look at a deep dive of what we're going to do for additional parking places now instead of waiting till?
Yeah, we've done a lot of that. We've done a lot, Mr. Dean. In fact, Jason's done some research of other school districts. Let's just put that all together in its own standalone little report and share it to you.
There's been lots of study about parking at this particular.
So we've done, what you're saying is we've done a deep dive into parking.
Yes.
But, one of the things, the community knows we just bought 10 acres, right? And that's one of the questions that we're getting as school board members. How many more parking spaces are we going to add? The question is what are we going to do with that 10 acres? And I think it might be a good thing from a transparency perspective for us to give the community a rough outline of what that might look like over the next 2 to 5 years, what we're going to do with that additional space.
Can certainly do that, okay. Okay, I'm going to advance to the next slide here. So this is some interior shots. On the left, that's the existing media center. That's going to look very different come August. That's scheduled over the summer to really hit that hard. Picture on the right is the newly completed cafeteria expansion. So what's interesting there is about a year ago, if you were standing where the picture was taken, you'd be outside. So it's all done. School's enjoying that every day. It's really helping their daily schedule. Happy to have that finished. Let's move on to Northside Elementary School. There is going to be an addition happening there. The GMP, so that it's in the design process, and we expect to bring you a GMP sometime this summer, probably by August. Really kind of depends on the progress of the design work there. And that is scheduled to come online in August of '25. And next slide here, we have kind of an idea of what it will look like. This is the design progress, and you see there's a legend there. The addition is the piece out here next to the gymnasium. So what's going on is this is the existing school here, and then there's a hallway that's connected now. So in the past, it's always been a separate gymnasium. This design has a connection there, so kids are fully indoors all day. So they don't have to go outside to go back inside again. So we're excited about that. And then there's all sorts of support spaces out here in special ed and classroom addition here. So that's under design again. We'll come back to you with the GMP soon, this summer. Roberts, lots of stuff going on at Roberts. There's really 3 projects in one here. The first one is there is a sewer system that's being tied in, which is great. No pictures for you, but it's really helping us add on to the school. So having it's a big win for us as a school district to have this one on the sewer system, and that's progressing very well. Expect to have that done early summer, late spring. So that's moving along on schedule. GMP approval for the renovation portion of the project is actually coming later on in the agenda today. So we're hoping to have an approval for that in March of '24. And then the addition portion of the project is underway as well. And that part of the GMP will come to you at a later time. But let me go forward one slide here and kind of show you a little bit what the addition might look like. This is where the design is today. And what's interesting to point out here is this is the same floor plan you just saw at Northside. And a lot of people say, well, how come you're doing the same addition at one school? Why isn't it the same price as the other one? Well, this one is in a totally different location because they're all on different properties and there are different characteristics of terrain on the various properties. So here, the addition's not on the gym at all. The gym's up here. That's not where it was at Northside. This addition is going along the hallway here, and it is connected, just like we did at Northside as well. But that's the smartest and most economical way we can add on to the school, and it minimizes travel distance too. So we're excited about that. There's also going to be some parking and improvements on the property here as well to help circulation. So you can see there, we're looking at 71 additional spaces and a lot of queuing potential as well. So let's move on. And then we're looking at wrapping up the addition and the renovation both in the summer of '25, if I didn't mention that. Here's a look at the addition. So in that green blob that I just showed you, and there's again kind of a layout of how the classrooms in the STEM lab here, and there's various other support spaces that go along with it too. There's a project at Nebo to help ease a lot of congestion out there on the roads, but also this school has a lot less parking than is really needed over there. So we've got a project to open that and help that issue out. We're going to be adding a additional piece of queuing and parking in the front grassy area here. It's a little bit hard to read, but the gist of it is that coming up, by this summer, we're looking to add about 70 additional parking spaces and being able to provide 70 areas for parking to stack and get off the main road. And it adds about 58 parking spaces to the overall number. Yes.
So with the redo, that's going to be similar to the way the car line flows at Shelton, I guess, right? Where you have they drive in,
it's
they
going to
curve
weave around, yes.
And it gets them off the road.
That's right. That's the idea there. Get them off the road while add some parking, some much needed parking at the school.
Yeah, I got a quick question. And you can email, I guess, when you get a chance. We talked about a while back, actually Ms. Lyons brought it up, in terms of elementary school and middle school improvements, projects, especially when it comes to parking, that all projects at a certain point moving forward tilt towards, or at least has an eye towards, bicycle traffic, pedestrian traffic, whether it be entry sidewalks, any of those things that, big picture wise, contribute to the transportation improvement. And I know it's not something that can happen overnight, but I think that was one of the things that the the board, our consensus has been that when we talk about improving parking lots, more parking, anything that is in that line of thinking, there be an eye towards, if you're going to pave something, make extra sidewalks. If you're redoing the lines in a parking lot, carve out entryways for pedestrian traffic, not in the parking lot, mind you, but shifting the thinking for, especially for elementary schools and middle schools, that there be ways to get more kids walking or riding their bikes, frankly, because we understand that that does improve the traffic patterns. It takes more cars off the road, all those things, but it is, it's not as simple as I'm making it, obviously, because there are safety issues and those things, but I want to, and that's my question, are we still in alignment that as the district moves forward with every project, especially, again, for elementary and middle schools, that when you do things like this, there's an eye towards, okay, well, you know what, there's an opportunity to put a bike lane right next here, or there's opportunity to pave over here and put in a sidewalk, because you know what, it helps us and it helps the community, it helps the county, if a parent can look at, what's going on and say, yeah, you know what, I'm stop up the street here and you ride your bike on the sidewalk or you walk from this point instead of, 20 more cars getting in the traffic line. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yes, you brought up a good point there. And another thing I wanted to stress is, yes, we do explore all the aspects when we try to do this. Like I said, there's no better time to take everything into consideration than up front and build it right the first time. We're also engaging with our safety and security department as well to try to figure out what is the best way for pedestrians and students and other ways to access the properties as well. So all of those things are considered, and we are making the best shot at that every time we do it. Let's see. Okay. Moving on. Okay, Baggett. And again, this is going to be a renovation project scheduled to happen this very summer, scheduled to come online in the August of 24. Everything is in line and ready to go on this thing. This is going to be our typical renovation scope of work. So you see some of the bullet points there. Obviously interior finishes, air conditioning, restoration on the roof, all of those necessary interior things that we need to have a functioning, thriving environment are what we focus on the school when it's a Ren Mod. So that's going to be coming online this summer. And so there's lots of other projects that we just want to briefly, quickly update you on. These are all SPLOST 6 projects, and there are still some other SPLOST 6 projects remaining that are not under construction yet, but they're in the beginning stages of design. So we've got Moses, Poole, and Austin all supposed to get renovations, and we're in the various stages of exploring the architectural contracts on those. So nothing to show you other than to say it's coming and be watching for it in the future. There's other initiatives in SPLOST 6 that aren't huge construction projects, but important to mention as well. So we have life safety systems that continue. We're replacing the fire alarms, we're replacing the intercom systems at all the schools, and we're well underway on that. Safety and security upgrades, we're exploring crosswalks, we're exploring fencing and that sort of thing to make our places safer and more efficient to access. There's projects to upgrade the auditoriums for the fine arts department, and we have the gym floors are a big one that affects all the schools as well. That's underway as well. So.
And one thing I would mention under
Yes.
safety and security, that's where you're going to find access control, which is probably the largest expenditure coming out of that, is access control to all of our schools, which we've already started that, and already have that in a few test schools, right?
That's right. So that is the construction update. Are there any questions?
So, Doug, I'll mention real quick, you don't have to go back, but the last slide, he's trying to show you everything that's through SPLOST 6. I thought I'd mention quickly what's going on with SPLOST 7. Business Services continues to track sort of an anticipated start date for 7 around summer of next year, about a little over a year from now, unless something changes with collections related to 6. That's when we'll start with 7. We are in the process, Mr. Cable is, with our bond attorney in validating the bonds. It's a process you go through that basically doesn't issue bonds, but I guess it sets the stage where you can issue bonds down the road. So that's an involved process that we've gone through a few times with our SPLOST. So he's working with that with our bond attorney. We've also started to have some preliminary conversations with our underwriter about what a bond issue would look like related to SPLOST 7. So a lot of things going on with that. What's the best time? How much do you want to borrow, and how do you stage it? And so we're talking a lot about that. I don't see us issuing bonds or asking the board to allow us to issue bonds probably until late this year, maybe fall or winter of 24, 25. And then, but in just a few minutes, you're gonna hear about an architect contract that we're asking the board to approve that's going to help us design a new elementary school design. So we had some pretty successful middle school designs, but when it comes to elementary, it was a little bit more of a hodgepodge, and we haven't built an elementary school since probably the new Abney, which I don't remember when, but it's been a while.
It's been a while.
And so there was this kind of this eclectic group of designs. So Doug said, hey, look, we're going to build one, two, who knows, down the road how much we'll use this design. So let's get the best design possible. So he went out and found an architect firm that he wants to work with that's going to do a lot of the work. And let's just design something that's efficient, that works well for us. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so that's what you're going to hear a little bit later on. And then the last thing I'll just add is just I wanted to mention that you're talking about by the summer, Doug, you guys, your team's going to have 8 active projects, either construction, pretty much all under construction. Some maybe nearing the end of design or whatever. I don't know that we've ever, and I'm looking over here at our senior leadership because they've been around for a while. I don't know we've ever had 8 active concurrent projects. Even when we were going through our growth spell, we tried to keep it 2, 3 a year, and then finish those and do 2 or 3 more or whatever. I don't know that we've ever had 8 simultaneous. So you guys have done a lot and going to continue to do a lot. And if my math is correct on the projects you just showed, all 8 of them, it's about 160 instructional units that we're adding in the course of all that. So, yeah, no limit, no small amount of work going on. So you guys are doing great work. So, any other questions, I guess, or anything else, Doug, from you?
Yeah, speaking of renovation projects, we had a guest speaker last meeting about the new Georgia hands and we're going to paint over them or whatever. And you mentioned the 2 elementary schools. Well, in the briefings for East Wash, one of them was to take care of New Georgia. Why are we spending renovation money or going to possibly spending renovation money on New Georgia if we're going to put a new school in? And that would solve the hand painting issue also.
Yeah, I asked the same question, Mr. Dean. I think it was because we're talking about by the time you go through design and construction, we're talking a few years away.
It's years away.
But I mean.
So it's pretty rough looking right now, but these guys.
Is it worth spending what? You're spending $2 million on New Georgia renovation? 1 million?
I think they were just going to paint it.
It
wasn't a full remodel.
Yeah, is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, just to make sure we're clear on that. It was just painting. It wasn't a full renovation
That's right.
like you.
There's not a renovation there. It's a paint job. They haven't been painted since 2009.
Yeah.
So.
But we're still looking into that. I think they've done a survey. They're trying to figure out, and that's a great point. Like, so what are we going to do with these new elementary schools? Can we find a way to do the same thing, accomplish the same thing, but not in a way that prevents these guys from being able to maintain the school?
Right.
We got to come up with some clever new ways to do that. So.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm sure you guys will.
Well, thanks for your support.
Thank you.
Mr. Carey. And with that, actually, Doug, don't go too far. Because, Mr. Crowder, you can come on up. I just thought you might hang out here for a second because Cole Crowder is our Director of Procurement. He's going to mention 3 things, 2 of which are contracts related to construction and then also a procurement item. So he's going to present these 3. Again, we're not voting on these this morning. He's just presenting them. So, Mr. Crowder, thank you, sir.
Good morning. I wanted to also say thank you to all you guys for all you do for us. But so like Mr. Barnett said, I have 3 items to present this morning. And the first, I'd like to present our GMP for renovation and modification contract for Roberts Elementary School. Today we're presenting that contract with Carroll Daniel Construction to perform the renovations and modifications at Roberts Elementary. More
So
details
this is
there.
the construction for the RenMod that you just talked about.
The RenMod portion of
the 3 projects.
And the board did select them as the CMAR for the addition. And you mentioned earlier that contract for that will come up in August?
That's coming later this summer in August.
Okay.
So the CMAR, it's Carroll Daniel. They are the CMAR for both the addition and the RenMod. This is the GMP for just the RenMod portion while the drawings and the design completes for the addition.
Good deal. Good deal.
And I know we talked about this a while back. Want to make sure we're still on the same page with them specifically. They are aware of the district's desire that most all of our vendors, in terms of transparency, produce videos and information for our public about the whole process. So that way, which happened recently when the kid in middle school says, yeah, I want to go into construction, there's going to be a Carol Daniels video online you can watch and see how they renovated your school. So, so I look forward to seeing that.
Thank you, Mr. Crowder.
All right. Next, we'd like to present a contract for the design of elementary school number 20. We're presenting the superintendent's recommendation to approve an architectural contract with Goodwin Mills Kaywood LLC for the design of our new elementary school.
Just so the board knows, I know some of you might be wondering why we're bringing this to you, because in the past, we've not really brought architectural services as a service. It's not necessarily required for board approval, but I just felt like, well, two things. Number one, if it's required, really, if GFIC money is involved, if the state's reimbursing us, the architect needs to be approved by the board. But if it's a large enough project, I just feel like the board should be involved. And you're talking about building a new school or a major addition or whatever, it reaches a certain threshold, which I believe we've set at $500,000, if I remember right. I've just asked these guys to bring it to the board. That's why you're seeing these sorts of things, and maybe you didn't in the past, so.
And I'm assuming that if we're looking at a new architectural plan for an elementary school, it would be something that we can continue to use as we build that second elementary school and so forth.
That's right. We're looking at them as helping us develop the next prototype. As you know, school design and theory of school and education advances, so we'll have the newest prototype to help assist in construction.
And quickly, Doug, I should maybe just mention real quick, because what Mr. Dean asked, this group is going to work with a committee, right, of our folks. So like the principal at Union, Mr. Cowan's going to be involved, and so will, well, now it's, we'll know later today, never mind. But the principal of New Georgia you're going to involve a lot of folks, right? It's not just you guys and the architect.
We have a work group, advisory group that will develop with that.
A lot of these guys you see in the room.
That's right. And tap into the institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
If I can go ahead and say just one of my priorities for this new design would be to go ahead and forethought for expansions. So we're not having to do like with these schools that we have currently in place, trying to figure out, okay, where can we add to this line or this line?
2 classes here.
Exactly. So hopefully, this new plan will have forethought so that we can have a direct plan. If we know, hey, this new elementary school in 20 years needs 40 classrooms, we can say, okay, it's going right here on this spot, and we can just add to it and not have to worry about this extra design and things that go into having to red mod or additions to these existing schools that are.
Yep, we'll call that the north side effect.
Very good, yes.
That one's ready to go. And thank you, Mr. Carey. I think that's, unless these guys have more for you, I think Cole has one more item. It's a procurement item.
I do. I have one more item, and that is our invitation for bid for network components and recabling. That solicitation was published February 2nd, 2024, posted on the district website, our bonfire solicitation portal, and the Georgia Procurement Registry. We had 2 responses to that bid received on or before our deadline of March 1st, 2024, and we have found AIOS Group and Integrated Office Solutions to be our 2 lowest priced responsive and responsible bidders, meeting our procurement requirements and specifications, and so we'd like to make an award to those 2 vendors. Just one reminder is all 3 of these recommendations will be placed onto our March 26th agenda for approval. And if you have any questions, you have any time between now and then to send them our way. All right?
All right. Thank you, Mr.
guys.
Crowder. And Madam Chair, that's all. Thank you for everyone's patience. I know we went through a lot this morning.
Thank you. I would like to, before we talk about our next agenda item, which is adjourning to executive session, I know many of you hate springing forward, and I hate it so much that when I announced this meeting, I said it was our February 13th meeting. So I'm still stuck in February, but I do want to make a correction, and I'm welcoming you guys to our March 12th meeting and not the February 13th meeting. So just that being said, we are at a point in our agenda where it's time to adjourn to executive session. No votes will be taken except to approve our executive session minutes. We will be discussing land, legal, and personnel. Do we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Mr. Clayton first.
Second.
And second by everybody else. Mr. Nolan second. Is there any discussion? No, all in favor? We are adjourned to executive session.
There you go.
Are we live?
I think we are.
Maybe. All right, we are reconvening from executive session where no votes were taken except for to approve the minutes. Again, we discussed land, legal, and personnel. At this point, I will turn our meeting back over to our superintendent, Steve Barnett.
Two action items, Madam Chair. The first is to approve personnel items 1 through 91 is presented this morning.
Okay, hearing the superintendent's recommendation for personnel items 1 through 91. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Dolan, second by Mr. Fuller. Excuse me, Mr. Clayton. Sorry. Is there any discussion? All approved? That would be, Mr. Dean had to leave early. So that's 6. All right.
The second item, and the last item is I'm asking the board's authorization for the board chair and superintendent to sign the Family Connection Fiscal Agent Agreement with the Georgia Department of Education for FY24. Family Connections is a grant. You guys have heard of that. It's been around for a long time. The board has to authorize us to be the fiscal agent of the grant, which will come later. There'll be a separate contract we'll bring before the board to approve regarding the actual grant. This is just to designate ourselves as fiscal agent, or fiscal agent. That's the recommendation.
Hearing the superintendent's recommendation, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Goodness gracious.
That was-
First by Mr. Nolan, second by Mr. Clayton. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. We come to the part of our agenda where we have public participation. I don't believe we have any today. All right. So now it's board member comments, and we will start this with Mr. Fuller today.
Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you to all the students who participated in the video and all the schools that always do such a good job giving us letters and notes of encouragement and, mugs and T-shirts and different items for Board Appreciation Week. It's one of my favorite weeks as a board member, but also it gives us an opportunity to express how much we appreciate the staff, the teachers, and everyone here who makes the school system work. I know all of us are just board members that go about our lives and we have other jobs and we do other things, and this school district couldn't operate without the good people that we have working here, and that's everybody involved. And we appreciate you as much as you guys show us appreciation, and I just want to say thank you for that. Also, just a quick shout out to the Lady Wolfpack basketball team and their fantastic season they had, being state runner-up. They did a fantastic job. Some of our other groups and academic competitions, we've done very well at some of the other schools, and I just want to give a quick congratulatory shout out to them as well. And got a lot of stuff going on, and hope everybody has a good week.
Okay. I would like to, again, ditto, that's my favorite thing to say, but the reason that we do what we do with those sweet faces on that video, thanking us for what we do, but I just want to thank, again, the teachers that are behind that. Our students do a great job in this county, and I'm super excited about that. Speaking of which, I got the opportunity to be a part of the interview process for the recertification for the Paulding College and Career Academy. And the highlight for me as part of that interview process was to see how that team appreciated and respected our students that are going through that program. They had nothing but extremely favorable things to say about those students and what they perceive to be their future. I would encourage anyone that has a desire to look into any of the pathways that we have there to certainly consider the Paulding College and Career Academy. It is an excellent program, something that I know we're all very proud of. And just to see the results that we are getting from those students and how they're able to take that next step in their career is to me, is extremely exciting. I also want to thank those that were involved in that graduation profile. Ultimately, guys, that's what we're here for. These kids, they start with us in kindergarten, but they're going to be graduating, and to have that profile so that we know what our goals are as we start in kindergarten and work our way through those years, that there is I don't want to say profile again, but there's an example. There is the goal, the ultimate that they're reaching for. So thank you for all those that participated in that. I also wanted to shout out and say thank you to those 5 social workers. When I heard the statistic that there's about 6,000 students per social worker, oh my goodness. I can't even imagine the needs that come to them on a daily basis, so I just wanted to say thank you to all of them. And thank you for allowing us to serve you. And that's all I have for today.
Wanted to say thank you for all the folks, the teachers and students who took the time to send notes and nice things to us here at the Board of Education for Board Appreciation Week. And this nice, I don't know, you guys can see this, but it's all of our schools inside of an apple. And that's really nice to see this kind of stuff come around on Board Appreciation Week. Just want to give Coach Wesley Willis at North Paulding High School a big shout out. He has done a fantastic job with that group of young ladies at North Paulding High School. Runner-up in the state basketball tournament is quite an accomplishment. They played a pretty formidable Grayson team, and I think we actually got closer than just about anybody to beating Grayson than any other team in the state.
I think we're the last one to beat Grayson.
Yeah.
Our girls team.
Yeah, and at any rate, he's doing great things with that program, and as the representative for that area, it's fun to be able to go to those basketball games and watch our boys and girls, and particularly our young ladies, do as well as they did with Coach Willis. So big shout out to him. We are 10 weeks away from graduation. That seems nuts. I think we were, I remember saying we were just a few days away from school starting what seemed like 2 meetings ago. So this year seems to be flying by. But as we prepare for graduation, there are things that the schools are going to go through and preparations that they're going to make over the next few weeks. And we just want to show our appreciation for all the work that goes into those graduation programs and what these school staffs do to make sure that these kids have a great experience for that. So that's all I have.
I just want to tell Miss Michelle, thank you for the breakfast casserole. It was delicious. And it is nice to be appreciated, but I want to express my appreciation for my fellow board members because I serve with a great team and I'm grateful for that. I learned something today that I think is pretty cool that I did not know. I did not know that the PCCA was open to homeschoolers and private schoolers. That's pretty awesome. And our virtual academy, of course, right there with it is doing a phenomenal job with our non-traditional learners. And I really appreciate the fact that those kids can go to school without all the social anxiety that comes along with being in a great big high school. But anyway, that's all. Thanks for everything all you guys do. You know, you are awesome. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you to my colleagues. I'm super appreciative for the cards and the gifts, and it's good to be appreciated. I think sometimes when you're in our position and it's part of your job to think about things strategically and big picture and long term, it's always good to get the reminders and the information on the individual impact, and I'm thankful for that. And thankful we're close to graduation and putting another one in the books, and I'm also just thankful for all the information we receive on a monthly basis. I know putting together presentations and slides and doing that, it's a bunch of work, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all the people who do that. I know, I think, what did they tell us? For every hour of trial, you spend 4 hours preparing. And so I think for a lot of people, they don't understand it. It's a 10-minute presentation or 15, but you spend a significant amount of time preparing for that. And I'm appreciative of that. And so I want everyone to be safe and to see you next time. Thank you.
Last. Ditto. No. I want to thank you to all the schools, staff, students that put that video together, the wonderful gifts. I do look forward to this every year. It's one of my favorite weeks as a board member, followed closely by our award sessions where we go out into the schools and the community and spend time with them. It's funny you mentioned kindergarten through 12th grade. I just had to register my son for kindergarten. He will be joining our system on August of this year as a kindergartner, so the registration process was very simple, effective. However, I kind of missed the personal touch of like going to registration and like meeting with someone, but the online was completely easy to do, so looking forward to him starting as a kindergartner in August. And y'all have a great day.
All right. Do want to remind everyone that our next meeting is Tuesday, March the 26th. And we look forward to seeing everyone there. That is a 5:30 meeting for executive session starts first, and then the regular meeting at 6:30. Got that right? All right, awesome. Do we have a motion to adjourn for today?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Nolan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clayton. Any discussion? All in favor? We are adjourned.